Now, despite how I personally feel about the whole SUV coupe trend, which frankly is inconsequential and not important and doesn't really mean anything, I have to admit that I've not yet met a BMW X4 that I did not like at least a little bit. Most of that has to do with the fact that I've gone on record saying this, that I actually really like most of BMW's SUVs. In fact, in their respective segments, from the X3 on up, they are among my favorites of them all. So then if I like the X3, I should like the X4. If I like the X5 a lot, then I should like the X6 at least a little, and I do have a massive soft spot for the X7. However, now if you look at the image you're looking at right now carefully, you see the trim and the wheels, and obviously you've seen the title of the video. This isn't just any regular X4. No, this is the X4M Competition. This is in fact the ultimate, most expensive, most powerful, most performance track focused version of the X4, and it is by far not the version that I like the most. In fact, I think the M40i that I drove a couple years ago, if I'm not mistaken, is, if only a little slower than this, far more agreeable on so many levels. So what does that mean? Well, that means that we'll do the usual walk around, point out what makes this X4M Competition, well, special and so expensive, and then we'll take it on the road and we'll discuss what makes it so special and so expensive. Let's do this. There is a considerable number of versions of BMW's X4, which was revamped about 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, physically anyway, from the first generation of the vehicle, but we won't go over every trim. Let's just start with the X4M itself in the US. It's priced from $73,400. And the M is a $7,000 option package, which brings the total to $80,400. In Canada, the X4M is $84,800. The competition package brings the price up to $95,600. Yes. What do you get included with the X4M? Well, that massively powerful powertrain, which I'll touch on in a few minutes. But it does also include the M Sport differential, a full M chassis, 20-inch wheels, M exhaust, a lot of the arrows, a whole bunch of bits you can see as I walk around the vehicle. Is a 10.25-inch display, 12.3-inch instrument panel, and there's a whole bunch more stuff. Now the competition adds, exclusive seats, more power, tuned exhaust, 21-inch wheels, merino leather, and Alcantara touches on the inside. Now my tester, as you see right here, this beautiful Donington gray color, which I think was the same color on 1 or 2 other BMWs I've driven in the last couple of years. I love the bronze silver mix in the color. The hue is really, really nice, and with the black trim, it just pops. My tester has the ultimate package, which is a $10,000 option package, which includes cooled front seats, the M Drivers Pack, which is the different speed restriction or limit, if you will, a full bunch of driver assist features, aka not worth the money in my opinion. It also has various carbon fiber trim add-ons and the M compound brakes, which are the only one or the only option here that I would keep. Anyhow, the grand total of this X4M Competition, $108,095. Yeah. I mean, look, if you want on-road superiority, I mean, GLC 63S will give you a hard time. But I don't know, physically this thing is, I don't know, it's very German in the fact that it's subdued and ultimately uber aggressive at the same time. Most of that comes from the added carbon fiber trim, or the aero I should say, which includes this very cool rear spoiler. You have the rear valence, and well, it's not quite a diffuser, but you can kind of see those massive tailpipes right there. Oh, and the mirrors. The mirrors are probably the most hardcore, very M of BMW, that opening there by the side. Look, it looks great. I mean, there's really nothing negative I can say about this thing styling. I guess we'll go quickly on the inside. There is a power hatch. I'm not going to waste much time on it. You know, the hatch is as quick as the truck, I guess. I said truck. Good sized trunk, but that's not why you're buying this thing, obviously. Now in the rear, I've been using it as a family vehicle, but it's not working out very, very well because this is really tight. The seat there I actually pushed back because it has to go far more forward in order for my son to actually put his feet down without hitting the seat back too much. But for normal human adults, getting in and out is actually really good. The ride height is good. Leg room is decent. Headroom isn't that bad as long as you're under 5 feet 11 inches tall. Here's a shot of the dashboard. Let's just go. Well, in typical BMW fashion, you actually maybe got a little bit of that. Here's some of that carbon fiber trim, which is beautiful. And BMW can do some hardcore, envious looking interiors to contrast stitching, the multiple layers and surfaces, and good decent storage as well at the same time. Now here you have these fantastic seats. They're rock hard but extremely supportive. They would be great to experience on a track. Unfortunately, well, oh, and this too, obviously, if you don't have a competition, you don't get that scuff plate, my bad. All right, start it up. It's a 12.3-inch display. It's pretty straightforward, typical BMW fashion. Here's your 10.25-inch screen. There isn't much else to say here. The important things are this and that, which are 2 programmable drive mode buttons. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a few moments. This is your typical HVAC and audio layouts for BMWs. This is where it really gets different. This is very much like what was in the M8 Grand Coupe that I drove when it was minus a billion degrees outside. You have individual settings for steering, dampers, powertrain, aggressiveness. You can switch see through my phone is difficult. Right here is the aggressive shift patterns. You can do more relaxed and more hardcore. Your park button is just down here in case you wanted to know. Here's another important button, which I don't know. I get into one of these vehicles with that button, aggressive loud exhaust, and I always have to turn it on. Visibility, look, visibility in the back is really not that great, but in this vehicle, you'll never look behind because you'll always be ahead of the competition. Well, the competition. On the road, nobody will pass you. Maybe a Model S, P100D, or Plaid, or whatever. Visibility is generally good until you get right here. It's a massive blind spot, so I don't know, maybe attacking apexes might be a little bit difficult. I don't know. I wish I knew, in fact. That's it for the interior. Heated steering wheel, it's a nice touch too, and they're always nice to see in your BMW. Anyhow, let's go for a drive. You know, before I go on and hit the road, I could say that, well, I could be faulted for not being more excited about driving a BMW X4 M Competition. But this vehicle falls into that same category of vehicles that are so powerful, so capable, that unless you go on a track, there's no real way to evaluate this. I can't believe it, I'm being Corolla attacked. My whole plan was to take this on-ramp, and from where I was, people never do what I just did. Oh, wow. Anyway, proof right there, okay? That's the thing with vehicles like this. X4M, unless you track it, there's no real way to appreciate all the engineering that BMW's M division has put into this SUV. I'm sure you can exploit the power, but I can't right now because I'm still stuck behind the Corolla. But the X4M and M Competition both have a straight 6 twin power 3-liter engine. The M has a 473 horsepower, 442 pound-feet of torque. As part of the competition package, output climbs to 503 horsepower and 469 pound-feet of peak torque. So what does that mean in the real world? Well, not much actually, because the X4M will do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 4.2 seconds, and the competition will do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in a theoretical 4.1 seconds. Depending on the temperature, the tires, the surface, all that, I mean, they're the same speed. So right there, I mean, sure, you get different seats, different wheels and all that, but I'm not sure the premium is actually worth the asking price. But one way or the other, it's freaking fast. That didn't really show right there, but it's quick. Believe me, it's a good regular gut muscle exerciser is what it is. Now, I showed you the drive modes and all of that. So I have the powertrain set in sport, which essentially is kind of dumb in a way, and I'll tell you why in a second. And the damper set in comfort, always set in comfort, and steering set in sport. That is essentially my M1 button. So I've been playing with this for fun, but then when I press the M1 button, well, that's the settings that pop up. So you can also set the M2 and make it all crazy in Sport Plus for everything. But honestly, I haven't even tried that. I've done it on previous other M vehicles, and again, you can't really exploit that mad M Sport differential, the X drive shuffling the power, taking the incredible brakes to their absolute limit, and feeling what it's like to launch this thing into orbit time and time again. Now, the chassis, right, the M chassis, the thing with this X4M and M Competition is that, and it reminds me of the AMG C63S, where at rest, at idle, the vehicle is dialed at 10.5. So every step up from there, you're getting closer to like 13, which makes it almost undrivable on the daily. And that's the case even with the dampers set in comfort. You feel every road irregularity. These ultra high performance tires don't help that. They do give you a tremendous amount of grip, but I mean, under normal circumstances, so illegal. You can't find out what it is you're actually paying for. Your monthly lease payments, or if you bought it, your monthly finance payments, you'll never know what this thing can actually do. And that's why the X4 M40i, another one of my off-ramps that I like, but Ford C-Max, what am I going to do? This is reality, my friends. You know? What did I say? Oh, yeah. X4 M40i. That's why I love it so much. Because with 382 horsepower, and I don't know, maybe a second slower to 100 kilometers an hour, maybe less than that, in fact, and about $30,000 or $35,000 cheaper, in my book, it's more vehicle than everything you get right here, right now. What else can I say? The 8-speed automatic transmission is fantastic. It's a bullet you can control. Speaking of control, the controls on top of the shifter, right? When you bring it down to 1, you can have access to 7th and 8th gear, and if you bring it up to 3, well, it locks out the top overdrives, and it just means that the transmission is just eager and impossibly willing to just crush land speed records, or at least try. I mean, look, I absolutely adore this vehicle. You'll have to forgive me for a second. What does that look like? A 61 Cadillac? Apologies. Squirrel. I mean, this thing is a land rocket. It's incredibly fast, but despite whatever advantages you get with the M and M Competition, it's not worth the money. Unless you use this as a track vehicle. But then why would you get an X when you can get an M, a 3 or a 4? Or even an 8 for that matter, or a 2. Anyhow, so that's it. I like this thing, but I'd get a regular X4 M40i. Same goes. I wouldn't get anything with a 63, with the exception maybe of an E or an S at AMG. I mean, the 43s, 35s, and even the 45s are pretty damn good. So sometimes having the ultimate is having too much and it's actually not that much fun.